Hello, everyone, and welcome once again. As you know, we are here every single Tuesday at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. My name is Mark Stark. I'm the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and we operate in Arizona, California, and Nevada. And today, we are here to talk about increasing our client conversion. In fact, I have 3 key tips for you today. Let's do this. Let's jump right in. And here's what I'd like to do. Before I start, I'm going to share with you these 3 tips right up front. And then we're going to break them down. However, as always, everything starts with our attitude and the way we think. And I don't care if you've been in the business 30 years or 30 minutes, internalizing these 3 tips is key. All right. And then once we break it down, I think you'll better understand why that's so important. So here's the 3 tips. Number 1, if you want better conversion with clients, you have to know your job. You have to know your job. What are you supposed to do? You know, this is true in any business, but specifically, we're going to talk today about the real estate brokerage business. And you have to know if you're dealing with a buyer or seller, someone on the phone, whatever the case may be, is what's your job? Okay, number 1. Number 2, you have to communicate your job, specifically with passion and vigor. So can you communicate what you do? So 1, you can't certainly do number 2 without having number 1. So 1, I know my job. I know what I'm supposed to do. And 2, yeah, you know what? I'm great at communicating my job. And I communicate it with passion and vigor because I know what I'm trying to accomplish. And 3, which is very important, do your job and do it well. All right, so these are the 3 that we're talking about. Know your job, be able to communicate your job with passion and vigor, and do your job, and do your job well. All right, so once you internalize these 3, I hope that you're starting to think of some questions like, ooh, if you don't know some of those things, then you have to sit down and you really have to ask those questions and get the answers for you so you're comfortable and you're extremely clear on the answers to these specifically first 2. And then, of course, executing successfully is number 3 in do your job. All right, so let's break this down now. First, let's talk about sellers. Now, rarely do we get the opportunity to go to a presentation or speak, in this example, to a seller and really know portionally or a portion of what they want. Now, you know how you're never supposed to say never and you're never supposed to say always? Well, the next items I'm going to give you when you're speaking to a seller in some way, shape, or form are always there. All right. It doesn't mean you don't ask the questions, and we still have to ask those questions to our clients and learn everything about them and how we can best serve them. However, I'm telling you, these next items in one way, shape, or form will always be present. Let's go over it. So you're dealing with a seller. 1, sell my home. Sell my home. 2, make me the most money. 3, make the transaction smooth, organized, and hassle-free for me. Basically, I want you to be a problem solver, and I want you to protect me through the process. There it is. Let's review those one more time. Sell my house. All right. I didn't say any specific time frame. It could be a different time frame depending on who you're dealing with. Could be fast, could be a little slower depending on their personal situation, but sell my house. 2, make me the most money. It did not say highest sales price. I said, make me the most money. Their check is key. Make me the most money. And 3, make this process hassle-free for me. Protect me through the process. And certainly you need to be, as I stated, a problem solver. So when I talk about problem solving and I talk about these three items, let me get a little bit more specific for you. In our business, we deal with a lot of areas, but how about marketing? What's your marketing strategy? All right. How are you going to market the property successful for me? How are you going to deal with multiple offers? Right? Offers coming in. You got numerous on the properties. What's the best way and how you're going to protect me, all right, in dealing with multiple offers? How about negotiations? What's your expertise on negotiations? Appraisal strategy. Dealing with other agents. What's your strategy there? How about title companies, mortgage companies, repair issues, HOAs that you have to deal with? What's your pricing strategy that you feel is best, okay, for me in my particular situation? What about staging advice, etc.? You have a lot of other areas, but do you see there's a lot of things that you will deal with in numerous different transactions. You may not deal with all of them all at the same time, but the reality of it is, in some way, shape, or form, you're going to deal with a lot of these. So now, what do we do? How do we tie this together? Well, everything that I went over, from marketing strategies to multiple offers to negotiation, always has to tie back to one of these areas. So one, if you're talking about marketing, it better sell my home, make me more money, or it's somehow making the transaction more hassle-free for me as the client, protecting me in some way, shape, or form. Every single item should go back to one of those items. Is it helping me sell my home? Is it putting money in my pocket? Or is it helping the transaction go smoother for me? If you can't bring those back to those items, here's what's missing, is one of two things. One, you're not accomplishing, all right, those items, which is a problem. You know what? Yeah, that's a great idea, I guess, but I don't see how it's going to sell my house or put money in my pocket or make this transaction more efficient or easier for me. Well, guess what? You may not need it. You may have to dump that idea. Two, second problem is it does that. It certainly supports one of those three or maybe two of the three. But guess what? You're not presenting it in a way that I get it as the client. So your conversion will go down if I'm not understanding that working with you and working with your company, again, gets my home sold, all right, puts money in my pocket, and or, all right, makes the transaction be hassle-free for me. So you got to think about this. Every single item that you share should tie in to one of those items if you're really going to increase your conversion. Let's switch up. Let's talk about a buyer. All right. It's really the same type of process. Now, again, these items that I'm going to share with you will always be there in some way, shape, or form when dealing with a buyer. One, locate a great house. Locate a great house for me. Two, locate a great deal. And remember, a great deal doesn't always mean dollars. It very well may mean dollars, but it doesn't always have to be. You know what? You found me the right floor plan or the right square footage in the right area. This is exactly, okay, or fits me perfectly based on my needs. That can be a great deal as well. And certainly, obviously, a great deal can mean dollars as well. And of course, again, to repeat, make the transaction smooth and hassle-free for me and solve the problems. Same areas. What do you deal with? Well, you're dealing with home finding strategy, low inventory strategy. This one really, I will say, is a little pet peeve of mine when people talk low inventory. You need to really clarify that. The houses didn't go away. It's not like they vanished. All right. So when we talk low inventory, what we're really saying is there's less inventory in the MLS. Houses are still there. It's just a little bit more difficult for me as a real estate agent to connect with those properties. Well, that might be true, but be careful. The inventory still exists. But what is your strategy to find me that house in a market that has less inventory in the MLS? How good are you on the buyer side dealing with multiple offers? How is my offer going to get accepted over another agent's offer? Because you're good at what you do. And you knew this was going to happen, specifically in this price range. And guess what? You forward paced it and you handled it perfectly. I'm sure glad you and your organization were representing me. Do you see the difference there? Everyone, again, multiple offers, negotiation, appraisal issues. Guys, please don't fall into the trap. When I say solve problems, you say, Mark, how am I supposed to solve this problem? It's not my fault. It's the appraiser. Don't ever blame it on an appraiser. Don't ever blame it on the market. Don't ever blame it on another agent. Let me make this easy for you. It's always us. In this case, it's always you in this example. See, because you're confusing blame with responsibility. Blame is worthless. Blame doesn't help anyone, okay? And I promise you, it doesn't help you. You just are responsible to come up with a solution. And sometimes it's really tough, specifically when some of these things are not in your control. I get it. But guess what? If you're the awesome problem solver, then you got to come up with an idea and or lay the groundwork that if something comes up, you thought about it because you know this absolutely can happen in a transaction. No worries. We're covered. And do you remember we discussed this and we have a plan B based on this particular situation? Look, all these items just on the buyer side should tie back to, if anything you're covering, it's how do I locate a great home for you? How do I locate a great deal for you? And 3, how I am making this a hassle-free transaction for you, protecting you, and solving any of these problems that come up. One more category. Let's do this. What if it's just an incoming lead? It's an incoming lead. You haven't even met, okay, this person. What are they calling for? Well, I'm going to put it in a category of greed of information. They're calling you because they want information about something. And I think we fall into a mistake when people specifically on the phone where we haven't met someone. Look, if you're getting a call on the phone and there's really not any rapport left or built up at that point in time as of yet, you know what? Then you've got to, if you know I'm calling in for information, then guess what? You got to get me excited. You got to invoke, okay, some emotion out of me. You're not going to do that by checking the computer. The way you're going to evoke emotion is you're going to talk real estate. See, that's why previewing property is so important for individuals in our business, because the more you preview, the more properties you know about. And when you know about these properties and you can talk about these properties, I get excited as a buyer. Not because I want to work with you, I don't even know you yet. But guess what? Those 4 or 5 properties that you shared with passion and vigor on the telephone, I want to see those. I want to know what those properties are about. And to get to those properties, I'm choosing to work with you. And by the way, over the phone, man, you seem excited and you seem passionate about what you do. And that attracted me too to work with you. Guys, please don't forget, everyone is a person first. We're people. Relax. But there's some absolute things that you can do to increase the conversion when you're talking with people, be it in a face-to-face presentation or on the phone. All right? Listen, conversion is all about maximizing the time that you have in a day. There's only 24 hours in a day for all of us. All right? So if we're going to maximize the time and all the efforts that we're putting in, well, guess what? If I'm talking to people on the phone or I'm meeting them face to face, I want to increase the percentage that say, hey, I want to work with you and I want to work with your organization because guess what? I believe you are going to work for me in my best interest. And ultimately, I believe you're going to be an advocate for me. And guess what? People want an advocate. Okay? Yes, they want an expert. They want somebody that they can trust, and all that can come together because guess what? You're absolutely have shared and communicated properly. You know your job, you communicated your job with passion and vigor, and guess what? No worries. I will do my job. I hope today was valuable for you. Please, it's a big help for all of you. If you know of somebody who can benefit from the information that I just shared here, please like it and share it with as many people possible. We will see you here every Tuesday at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.